Hi everyone, my name is Omar. I'm one of the adult services librarians here at the Carroll Stream Public Library. I'm here to talk about some of the best books that I read in 2022. The first one I'll be discussing is this book by Werner Herzog. Yes, he's normally known as a director, but he wrote his own book. This one, about 20 years ago, he actually declined a meeting with the Japanese emperor to meet with Hiro Onada, who was a Japanese soldier who didn't formally surrender until 1974. He was holed out in the Philippines. So this is it's a fictionalized version of his story, but one that I still found very interesting to read. So the book that I'll be discussing is actually a graphic novel called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Supergirl's been a character since 1959, but she's been in very few standalone stories, of which this is one of them, where basically you don't have to read anything else, just read this story to get the entire plot. The plot of this one is that Supergirl takes an intergalactic journey with another young woman who's trying to persuade this young woman from getting revenge for the death of her father, but it's also very much a character story of Supergirl as well, and you learn a little bit more of her tragic past, but also why she's such an optimistic character. Hi, this is the next book that I enjoyed in 2022. This is a book called The Art of Ron Cobb. Now, if you're not familiar with Ron Cobb, the person, you're probably familiar with some of the movies that he's worked on, which you can see on this cover. He's worked on Aliens, Back to the Future, the Alien movies. He worked on Star Wars, Last Starfighter, you name it. He was a designer of the various vehicles and vessels that you'll see. And he actually passed away just recently. So, if you're interested in all sorts of sci-fi, particularly 80s sci-fi, I'd highly encourage you to check out this book and not see only his architectural drawings, but also he was also a political cartoonist as well. So you may know Godzilla as the king of the monsters who's regularly destroying Japan, but what you may not know is that Godzilla has been around since 1954 in more than 38 films and is actually recognized in the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest running film franchise in history. Now, if you really want to know what all 38 of those films are, along with full color photographs, I'd highly recommend you check out Godzilla, the official guide to the King of the Monsters, which profiles the entire 38 film series.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kovac. I'm an adult services librarian here, and I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite books and movies from 2022. The first one I'm going to talk about is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It's an epic coming of age story about friendship, love, and video games. It follows two friends, Sadie and Max, and they develop a blockbuster video game while they're in college. It's set in the 90s, so I really enjoyed it for the nostalgia feel and for kind of reliving a lot of the games that I enjoyed when I was a kid. But even if you're not a video game fan, this book will give you all the feels. Another book I really enjoyed was Lessons in Chemistry. This is an offbeat and heartwarming story that takes place in the 60s. It's about a chemist who becomes the reluctant host of a hit cooking show. You'll really enjoy this book if you like stories about found family, likable characters, and if you like dry humor. And also, it is going to be an Apple TV show starring Brie Larson soon. Next, I'm going to talk about Nope. This movie is from director Jordan Peele, who you might know from the movie Get Out. There's not a lot I can really say about the plot because of spoilers, but I can say it's very suspenseful and it has a lot of creepy visuals. While I was watching it, there are several times I actually said the word nope and hid under my blanket. Like Jordan Peele's other movies, after your heart rate goes back down, it's going to leave you thinking about it a long time after it's over. Another one of my favorites this year was Thor: Love and Thunder. As a comic book fan, I was really excited to see Lady Thor on the big screen. It's got all the action you'd expect from a Marvel movie, except for you've got Director Taika Waititi, and he kind of brings his own quirky sense of humor. And you don't need to see all of the Marvel movies to understand it, but it is helpful if you've seen at least the first Thor movie.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm a librarian at the Carroll Stream Library in Adult Services, and I'm going to talk about a few books and movies I enjoyed this year as well. The first one I'm going to talk about is Chuck Klosterman's nonfiction book, The 90s. This was a really fun book I listened to it on audio and it was read by the author. He's got a very unique voice and he's kind of a nerdy guy. So that was entertaining. He talks about a lot of things I remembered from the 90s and some things that I was a little too young to understand. And it gave me a lot of perspective about those things. So it was just a very good book. It was a toss up if Sarah was going to review this one or if I was, because we both enjoyed it. The first movie I'm going to talk about is Barbarian. It's just coming to DVD now. It is a very scary horror movie, so as Sarah was saying, she hid under the blankets during Nope. She would not make it through Barbarian. So the first 30 minutes or so is really, really suspenseful as you figure out what's going on. It's about a young woman going on a job interview in Detroit, and she stays at an Airbnb. But when she gets there, she realizes someone else has already double booked the place, and they decide to stay together and just take a chance. But you will not guess where this movie is going. So if you like horror and scary, it's awesome. So I am the last person to talk about a superhero movie, but I do have a soft spot for Batman. And this one I thought was a really exciting and suspenseful Batman, and really gritty and atmospheric, and I just got sucked into this different world. It is long, but you kind of ride with it because you get like in the whole maze of a world of this guy. So, and also the soundtrack, the music really brings you into the atmosphere as well. So I just thought it was really engaging, and even if you don't like superheroes, this one's a lot different. Okay, the next movie I'm going to talk about is Elvis. I have a feeling this one will sweep the Oscars. I'll be rooting for it. So Austin Butler plays Elvis, and he really brings a lot of his own musical talent into the role, which I was impressed with. He plays different eras of Elvis's life really well. I don't know much about Elvis and his history, so I really learned a lot about, especially his comeback special on TV. I thought that was a really powerful point of the film. So it's colorful, it's wild, it has a lot of emotions. All right, Top Gun Maverick. I think this will also do really well in the Oscars. It's just a really great action movie, good characters. I liked the original. This is a lot different, but also good. It's filmed really clearly and coherently, so through the action, you really feel like you're in the plane with them. So I recommend. So the last movie I'm going to talk about is Turning Red. This is a little departure from the horror movies and action I've been talking about, a little bit lighter for this one. If you're a fan of funny characters like Tina from Bob's Burgers, you're really going to like the humor of this movie. It's a good coming of age story, and at some points the animation is just really amazing. So I'm going to talk about the book by Ruth Ware, The It Girl, not, as Omar would joke, the IT girl. This is a book by an author I've read all of her mysteries. If you've got a binge box from me, I may have slipped a Ruth Ware book in there for you. As I said, I read all of them. They each have a really unique setting, from a snowed-in ski lodge to a haunted mansion in Scotland to a cruise ship through Northern Europe. This one takes place in a really elite Ivy League kind of university, and it keeps you guessing among the students and the staff who the murderer is. Okay, and the last book I'm going to talk about from this year, I've still got about 40 pages left, and I'm going to go finish it right after this because these books are really addictive. This is the sequel to It Ends With Us, which took the nation by storm in the bestseller lists and everywhere because she went viral on TikTok. So there's tons of holds, but don't worry, we have lots of copies of Colleen Hoover for you here at the Carol Stream Library. So if you want to give her a shot and you've never read her, what you can expect from Colleen Hoover are books that are very emotionally intense, and they do get into some steamy romance.
Thanks for watching, and thank you for using the library this year. We hope you have a happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.